In right now with Michael Steele, the former RNC chair, and if I may, the kind of friend of the beat that sometimes we kick off the show with. Good to see you, sir.
Hey, good to see you, bro. Welcome back to the neighborhood. Good to see you.
Good to be in the neighborhood.
I look tonight, so I'm ready.
What's it called? A pate, I believe.
The pate, yes.
Yes, sir. Well, let me ask you this. I said, Rushmorean, Mount Rushmore level, because it is a big deal objectively, factually, to run up this kind of spending bill. It does put this very experienced but new president in that pantheon of vision. And so while the Republicans may be objectively overstepping with the word socialism, it wouldn't be wrong to call this big government or an unusually large package. What do you see as the substantive clash here?
First off, it's huge government. I mean, this is a $3.5 trillion domestic spend. And so it even goes in one sense beyond what we saw with the $1.9 trillion that was spent for the tax cuts under Trump. So you have this competing narrative now that the Biden team is establishing that affirms across the country that they're going to be about middle America. They're going to be about the men and women who are raising families, putting kids through schools, that are going to provide the roads to get those kids to those classrooms and provide the other kinds of social infrastructure, daycare, childcare, et cetera, that those families need. So it's setting up a very interesting dynamic. I do not think it will be, as much as I'm concerned about the level of spending, and I do not think that it's going to be enough, Ari, to say, well, this is socialism. Because when you go back into these red districts and ask those red senators and red members of Congress, their community leaders and the citizens that live in those communities, all right, do you want assistance with your child care? Do you want these roads to be repaired? Do you want the types of social safety network kind of spending that this administration is talking about for you and your family? I think you're going to find them to be hard pressed to say no. In fact, the proof is in the McConnell pudding when he acknowledged, oh yeah, there's a whole hell of a lot of money that came to Kentucky, from the COVID, and there's a whole hell of a lot of money that could come to Kentucky from the infrastructure bill. So just calling this socialism, I think, is going to be, it'll have some initial legs, but in the long term, I think they're going to have to come up with something other than that to say exactly what they would carve out of this that's worthy of their dollars.
Now, I want to ask you about Manchin, but I got to do a little housekeeping first, Michael. I've heard of turtle soup. I've never heard of McConnell pudding.
It's there. Trust me. It's not as delicate as some of the pudding that we're used to. It's got an edge to it. It's got a little bite.
Yeah. And, you could extend it. You could extend the analogy. You don't need all of the people at the restaurant to order it. Doesn't need a majority. About 40% will do. That's it. That was a hardcore cloture vote, a joke. Obviously, I've been on vacation, so could be worse than usual. What can I say? Getting back to the actual news, we do have Joe Manchin here. It is a key part of the math. This is what he's saying. Take a listen.
Yeah, I've been very clear that I want to see the pay-fors and make sure that whatever we do is going to be globally competitive.
Is $3.5 trillion too high? Is $3.5 trillion too high?
Depends if we can pay for it and still be globally competitive.
Michael, before we turn to Senator Booker, I ask you about his Senate colleague there. Is this a real process, or does the Biden White House probably have this figured out and they have to let Manchin do another round of this public mulling?
Well, you're going to have the round on this for sure between Manchin and the administration and others. I don't know what global competitiveness has to do with our domestic spend in terms of the pay-fors. Unless he means that somehow it puts us at a global disadvantage to have this level of debt without pay-fors. But hell, we just spent $7-8 trillion. No one seemed to talk about global competitiveness there. So I don't know what that means. The senator will have to explain that. Maybe Senator Cory Booker knows. But everybody's going to start to stake their ground on this issue. The president has been actually interestingly strategic in how he's moved the needle on this conversation, where Republicans, while they may be screaming, socialism, they ain't screaming that loudly. And you just heard from Senator Manchin, global competitiveness. I don't know what that means. Is 3.5 trillion too much? Well, it depends on how you pay for it. So everyone is beginning to realize that the president has created a conversation that they may actually be able to have. Now the question is, what do they say when they get in that room to carve out what this ultimately will look like? I think something will come from it, Ari. It may not be 3.5, but my suspicion is the president actually lands on this one. It'll be a win to take into 2022.
All very interesting, which is why I wanted you as our leadoff hitter, so to speak. Michael, thank you very much. As we prepare